David Brewster here from the Three-For-All, and this is three George Lynch licks from 2003. And I have to admit, George Lynch has been a huge influence on me and my playing, and I'm sure for a lot of people watching this too. Just those twisted and wicked and kind of sinister, chords and progressions, riffs and licks and fills and solos and all kinds of stuff. I mean, he's just loaded with these great ideas. And, Eddie Van Halen was my original, inspiration to pick up guitar. And I found people like Vito Bratta and Steve Vai. But definitely when I caught George Lynch, and I thought, man, I heard songs like Tooth and Nail, of course, Mr. Scary, Back to the Attack album, just blew my mind, when I was a teenager. But there's just something about his music. And I was actually working on a completely different lesson. And I stumbled upon this footage yesterday. And I thought, whoa, I think I'm going to feature, George again. So we've already had Three-For-Alls and Chordplay episodes, for Dokken. I think we even had the acoustic side of Dokken last year. So definitely, there's no shortage of great ideas from George Lynch. He's very inspiring, very unique, and there's just something about his music. It's just awesome. And I've had some messages about my new guitar, and I bought this, at the end of last year, and it was kind of my reward for making it through 2020, which was kind of a nightmare of a year. But I did upgrade, this pickguard, and I had, people that were asking, let's see your new guitar with the new pickguard. And I do like, this upgrade with the pickguard. But one thing about George Lynch that I've always admired are his custom guitars, from ESP. And I'm not really a big swirly paint kind of guy, but if I got a guitar like that, I would probably buy like the Kamikaze or one of the Tiger, like Sunburst kind of things, because they're so cool and they're visual, just striking. And of course the Skull guitar, there's a bunch of George Lynch guitars that are just striking, and they look great on stage, photographs and stuff like that. Definitely very metal, very 80s, but they're so cool. The licks in this lesson actually come from a song called Cromanic, and that's from the Lynch Pilson album Wicked Underground from 2003. And I wasn't familiar with that song, but when I found the footage and I started to kind of trace, what that was he was playing, George is just jamming over like a backing track. So he's not really playing the song like from the album. I think he's just using the backing, music or whatever from that song, and then he's literally just whipping out, licks and shredding and soloing. The first lick is this melodic kind of statement or a phrase, and this is a side of George's playing I've always admired, these unusual and kind of twisted melodies and these phrases, that pop up in this playing. Something like this. One more time. So right there, we're basically in C7, kind of. And we're starting with this, this F note. You're going to slide that back to E and then back up to F. And then grab that C right there. And then he does this really fast pull-off hammer-on. Like that. And then come down this F, E, C to A. Or I'm sorry, F, E to C, and then slide to this B flat. And then right there, you're going to come down, technically C blues, like, C minor blues. And then right there, you're going to grab this E, go back to that C, reach up and grab that F, go back to C, and then you want to squeal or pinch harmonic that E right there. Okay, one more time, a little bit slower. And then up to speed. And here's the footage from 2003 with George, ripping that lick. Next lick is this crazy wide interval kind of legato idea, and it's really unusual. And I, first heard the lick and I thought he was doing something very simple. And then I had to actually slow the lick down a little bit, and I listened to it and I thought, oh, he's sneaking in, like an extra hammer on. So it's really weird. It's like this. One more time. I first heard the lick, I thought he was just doing this. But then I realized he's actually doing 30-second notes, and he's doing like that. So I heard it as triplets, but it's so fast, it's actually groups of 4. Like that. So you're going to hammer on this A to C, and then you're going to pull off this A to D. Really weird. And you're going to move this A back to G sharp and do the same thing. So start with that A, and you're going to repeat that 4 times, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Move back to that G sharp and do that twice. Then you're going to pull off the C to A once, go back to that C, grab this A and slide down to A flat and then G, pick that G again, grab F and then end on D. So really slow. And up the speed. Really weird lick, but I like it. Next we have this neighbor tone string skipping idea. It kind of reminds me of Joe Satriani a little bit. It looks like this. One more time. Now, I actually had a lesson in Guitar Player Magazine about neighbor tones, so if you don't know what that is, this is basically in the key of D major. And what we're going to do is we're going to basically, target this little piece of the arpeggio right there, this A, D, F sharp, and that A right there. But what we're going to do as far as the neighbor tone aspect, start with the open D string twice, pick it one more time, and then you're going to basically grab A, B flat, A, and there's your neighbor tone, because it's a neighbor of the note that you're targeting, which is that A. So that B flat is just a half step away. And then go to the G string and do the exact same thing. Hammer on, the D, go to E flat and go back to D. Then go back to the D string and do the first one again. Jump up to the B string, that's where we're skipping, and now we've got F sharp to G back to F sharp. Go back to the G and grab that D, E flat, D. Then hop over to the high E string on the 5th fret and grab this A, B flat, A. Like that. Then you're going to position shift into this D. And I think he actually dips the bar right here, but you can emulate it without the bar. And he's basically grabbing D, going up to F sharp, back to that D, and then you hear this kind of released bend, a whole step from C up to D and then back down. I love licks like that too, and that neighbor tone, really interesting. Here's a bonus lick from this live footage, and this is crazy. It's this frantic, really busy, tapped phrase, and he's just cramming a whole bunch of stuff in there. And it is kind of a signature phrase, because you can hear George doing licks like this quite a bit. Something like this. Crazy. One more time. Definitely very tough, and I'm not going to claim that that's note for note. It's pretty close. It's in the neighborhood of what he was playing. And I didn't really take the time to slow it down, like half speed and really pick out what he was doing. But it's pretty close to what I just did. So really slowly, we're basically in D7 right here. And we're starting here. And then you're going to basically double this. And then grab that F sharp again. So starting one more time. And then right there, so you're basically doing this D, F sharp, D, and then you're tapping D, and then doing C down to A, and then back up to C right there. And then right here, that's really weird. And then after you do that, and slide, tap slide this G up to A. And then you're going to basically grab, this D to F sharp again, and then you want to double tap that A. And then you want to basically grab this G again and then pull that off, F sharp to D. So right there, basically doing this. Really interesting. Then come down here, tap D, and you're going to pull off the C to A. And then you're actually going to pull off that C to A a couple more times, and you're switching over to the pick right there. And then he basically lowers down, goes to the flat 5 right here on the B string. Really cool. And George definitely loves doing that. That's almost like his signature vibrato. And all that kind of stuff. But, and after that little slide, crazy lick. So really slowly. George can make licks sound like that, because that's definitely kind of a signature, just crammed shred lick from George Lynch. That's going to wrap this look at 3 George Lynch licks from 2003, and a very dynamic and interesting and unusual, just a unique guitarist. And I felt that way since I was a teenager. And my sister and I used to watch, Headbangers Ball and stuff, and my sister definitely, was a big Dokken fan, and that rubbed off on me. And I started listening to Rat and Dokken, and I was already obsessed with Van Halen. And the next thing I knew, I was obsessed with all of that music, And yeah, great time for sure. But then it's really exciting to notice that George is still active. He's still pumping out albums, collaborating with different people. And the Dokken days might be over. Even though, they've kind of had some comebacks and, additional kind of reforming and reunions and stuff. But who knows if that's ever going to actually happen again. But it is really cool to see George just stepping out and branching out and collaborating and working with all these different musicians and just continually puts out new music, which is great. So anyway, leave some feedback and some comments. Please subscribe to Late Night Lessons, and I'll be back before you know it with more content material. Thank you.